Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to do a recap of T-Mobile's quarterly earnings and speak about a few more points that I didn't discuss in the previous video and just kind of give you some commentary on how I think T-Mobile is going to do the rest of the year, what's next for T-Mobile, and how I think they stack up against the competition after today's numbers. So one thing that I forgot to point out in the previous video was during the quarterly earnings call, Mike Sievert disclosed a number that I was kind of shocked by. So it looks like the reason T-Mobile is attacking AT&T in this phone freedom Un-carrier move is because although AT&T has the lowest phone churn in the industry, they seem to have the highest percentage of likely switchers, and it's 50% higher than Verizon and T-Mobile. So that signals to T-Mobile that these customers are stuck in a 3-year phone plan and they need help getting out. And that's the majority reason why T-Mobile launched the phone freedom and specifically targeting AT&T customers. Very smart move. I don't know where they got the statistics from or the analysis, but that's a very interesting stat. Lowest churn, but highest percentage of most likely to switch. So that's very, very interesting. So I wanted to point that out right at the beginning to give you guys some insight on that Un-carrier move as to why T-Mobile is pushing that. And to make it make sense, right? They didn't raise pricing on existing customers. So let's get that out the way right away, right? They raised pricing on a new pricing on a new plan. That is completely, as I said in the previous video, optional. You do not have to get that plan. It is on a voluntary basis. You can switch to that plan. Now, where T-Mobile was very smart, they're going to get people out of AT&T moving to T-Mobile, and these new plans are advertised in store, right? And Magenta Max can no longer be sold in store. That AT&T customer is going to pay T-Mobile more, but they're going to pay less than they did on AT&T. So if you really break it down, you look at it objectively, it's a very smart move. Now it may, if you look at it on the surface, it may not be all that great, right? From an Un-carrier perspective, it really does nothing for the existing customer. But if you look below the surface, it's actually quite a smart move, right? They're targeting AT&T customers that are likely paying more or that are paying more. They bring a family of 3 or 4 lines in. They're going to pay less than they did on the AT&T plan previously. They're going to get out of that phone that they're in. T-Mobile's going to pay that off, and in return, T-Mobile's going to give them a free phone or free phones. So this executive team operates very smartly, right? I know there's people out there that may have their doubts. I get it, I understand, but they operate very smartly. They don't go too aggressive, and they strike exactly when they need to. And it looks like Q2 with this Un-carrier move was the perfect time to strike. And they did so in the Un-carrier fashion. So that was very interesting. So I wanted to point that out as to why they are potentially doing what they're doing, and there's always a method to the madness. So the numbers, the financial numbers, how do they stack up against the competition? Where does T-Mobile take it next? So as I've talked about in many previous videos, it's going to take T-Mobile time to really close that gap financially. Margins, free cash flow, net income, it's going to take them some time. But eventually they will get there. They are chipping away at it every quarter. Yes, some quarters are better than others, but that's normal. That's every company. Verizon has ups and downs. AT&T has ups and downs. But for the most part, T-Mobile is able to beat and exceed guidance and expectations. Most of the times they're able to do that. And where they're taking fixed wireless access, where they're taking the overall growth of the company is very interesting. It's not unique, but what they're doing as the smaller players still in coverage has never been done before in the industry. Verizon and AT&T have never faced a mobile network operator that can compete with them at the type of scale that T-Mobile is at today. In these rural areas and small towns, it's kind of been back and forth between AT&T and Verizon. Unless there's a US Cellular or a regional player that has stepped in, it's just been them two. Now T-Mobile is coming in, they're coming into play. Like I said in the previous video, T-Mobile today, in the categorized small markets and rural areas that they have, it's about 775 markets. They compete in 2/3 of those markets today. And they're at 16.5% share. I'll say it again. In the 775 markets that T-Mobile has categorized as small town rural areas, they only compete in 2/3 of those 775 markets where they believe they have the right to win, where they have retail distribution, where they have the coverage. They only compete in 2/3 of that. Think about that. And they're at 16.5% share today. They want to get to 20% by 2025. They are going to absolutely crush that goal. I have a prediction of mine where they get to between 22 to 25% by 2025. Very, very easily. They still have coverage to expand, which they're doing each and every quarter. More sites are going on air, and they are doing it very disciplined and very smartly. And that's what will help them also drive their financials further. It's all about volume for T-Mobile. They are clearly not doing it directly with the bottom line because they're not charging enough, right? They don't charge the same as AT&T. They don't charge the same as Verizon. They do free lines. I get it. I understand. But if you look at their outlook, they're going to get there, right? This quarter, they clocked in $1.9 billion of net income. Next quarter, I anticipate that to be between 2.2 to 2.5 billion. And then that continues to go up as they grow as a company. As they grow business, as they grow government accounts, as they grow small business, a large enterprise, that is going to help T-Mobile. And then as they grow in other segments like the military, small markets, rural areas, all of that, they continue to grow. And they still have upside, as they discussed today, in the top 100 markets where they have already, in the top 100 fair share, in the top 50 markets, they have the leading share. They still have room to run on prime accounts. They are looking at customers that have high credit scores, that make a certain amount of income. They look at that as prime applications. They still have headroom there, and they are saying they are growing that every quarter now too. People are choosing them for network. Now, T-Mobile has those numbers broken down somewhere, I don't know where, but they are choosing them for network. The business accounts, they get 100 plus devices, hotspots, everything they ask for. They test it, and then it looks like T-Mobile has a high succession rate on getting those businesses to join them after testing. So that tells T-Mobile they're not there for perception of the network. They're there to test it. Likely they are attracted by the cheaper price. They can likely see, or they probably heard word of mouth, hey, I got T-Mobile as a business, it's cheaper. That's what probably got them to interact with T-Mobile. But then they tested it and they saw, hey, wait a minute, I can do the same thing on this phone that I did on my AT&T line or Verizon line, and it's cheaper, so I'm just going to go with them. And that's going to be a big problem for Verizon and AT&T in the future. It's going to be a big issue. I'm telling you guys right now, if you look at T-Mobile's win rates, the ports, it's massive, right? You really can't put it into words, because it's going to take time to really see that come to fruition. But if you look at it on a quarterly basis, if you look at how T-Mobile is continuing to move forward in those segments, it just, you have to think that Verizon and AT&T have to eventually drop their price to equally compete against T-Mobile to really stop them from losing that share. Right? They're losing share everywhere. Verizon lost business share to T-Mobile the last 4 quarters. They said that in today's call. They continue losing consumers. Right? The churn bubble that they anticipated to be gone is still there. Their churn is going up. Now, if you break it down by percentage, it's not all going to T-Mobile. Right? Cable is likely take a majority of that now. These cable bundles, they're just good. And a lot of people are attracted by them. But then in that second year pricing, as that goes up, that's when they likely churn out. And that's when the carriers' growth will likely pick back up in that second year pricing as that goes up. But still, for right now, you have to include cable in the run rate because they're taking customers. So that's just something that I wanted to point out. T-Mobile is in a great, unique position. They have a great structure in the balance sheet that allows them to compete the way they are. Are revenues and stuff going to go up and down? Yes. But T-Mobile is doing this smartly. They are positioned to continue growing their finances and to continue to expand the margins, continue to gain more profits, and to get to that $18+ billion free cash flow by 2025. And then who knows what happens. They do more. They can do more buybacks. They can invest in more spectrum. They can up CapEx. At that point, anything is free game for T-Mobile because they have the free cash flow and a lower amount of debt to really compete. So just wanted to share that with you guys, this recap. I'll leave this article in the description so you guys could check it out. Again, it's very interesting times at T-Mobile. They're not challenged by the competition in a competitive way. That's probably why they were bold enough to raise prices on these new plans. If Verizon and AT&T were more competitive at this juncture, I guarantee you T-Mobile would have not raised pricing on this new plan. And I'll leave you guys with that last comment. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.